We are on. Hello everybody, it's Brian from quantlabs.net. As an example, we have our first, sorry dude, gotta mute you out. That was an example there. Alright, so we are going to do a presentation here on Matlab Simulink, why I finally came back to it. I call this now my long-term girlfriend. I'm going to be spending a lot of time with this puppy. And I'm putting 100% effort into everything I do, trading ideas, everything into Matlab Simulink. So I'm going to first talk about the benefits of Matlab. You may have heard me ramble on about it. You may have seen other benefits from other people. So let's get to it. It's very quick. So the question you got to ask yourself is why we focusing on Matlab? Well, Matlab is broken up into toolboxes, so based upon different functionality, Matlab segregates them into products, toolboxes. So because Matlab brings out their releases every 6 months, there's only 2 major releases a year, one in the spring, one in the fall. They just brought out the new 2015A a few weeks ago. And when I saw the new features, like, holy, why am I wasting my time with things like R, Python, when I can just go, screw it, I'll go back to Matlab and let me play nice. So for the last 2 weeks, I'm going to tell you I've made more progress than anywhere else I have with other .NET, Java, R, Python. Matlab is, to me, king. Now, the big thing that was really frustrating for me in R and Python were the packages that come with it. It's open source, it's free, great. But then some of the packages get left behind. Then packages become out of sync with other packages you depend on, and sometimes those packages get abandoned, there's full of bugs and blah blah blah. So you really cannot future-proof your scripts that you develop that you eventually implement it into a live trading environment. So those are 2 biggest things that I love about Matlab because of the biannual releases they put out, right? Now, the other big thing a lot of people may not know or they don't talk about is the ability to extend your trading idea into using Java, .NET assemblies, or a code generate with C++, C, or HDL, also known as hardware description language for FPGA, which obviously leads you down the path of ultra lowest latency frequency for HFT. So the other nice thing about Matlab is you can easily integrate Matlab, your trading ideas with Java, .NET, even Python client code using Matlab production server. Okay, that's the beautiful things about it. Now I'm not here to sell you Matlab, I'm just trying to give you the reasons why I use it, okay? Now the other thing is, with Matlab, they have something called DCS. I'm trying to figure if I got the name right, Distributed Cluster Server. So that enables you to then take your processes and parallelize them. And you can literally, what I like to call, scale to infinity. You just got to pay for the extra workers and licenses, and you can scale up as much as you like. Now, the thing I'm going to show you tonight is a Simulink visual development. With that feature and that entire ecosystem or environment, you can rapidly develop your trading idea. It's very, very, very powerful. Now, there's also another part, kind of like a latex editor, no different than latex, called MuPad. You can easily integrate your ideas that come from a research paper, let's say, where you have scientific notation, and they can drop that into a workflow for your trading idea development. Now, I haven't talked about things like the prototyping power or the back testing capabilities of Matlab. I'll let you guys figure it out. That's where Matlab's king. I don't need to go on about that any further. Other things that people don't know about Matlab is that you can take Matlab and use direct connections into high-end trading data providers. Let it be Bloomberg, Reuters. In my case, I would want to use IKEFI, which is a little more affordable. And then you can also integrate it into platforms like Trading Technologies XTrader, which is really a nice platform, but it's very expensive per month. Also with Matlab, you can integrate with major databases, be it SQL Server, Oracle, Postgres, MySQL, no problem. You can do it nice and easily. I've seen some GitHub repository projects where you can integrate it with into NoSQL solutions like Mongo. It's awesome. And they usually work. And of course, the last part that's really important to me is documentation. The help system's amazing. Everything's slick. Its community is very advanced, mature, and most of all, it's very friendly. Okay? So let's talk about Simulink itself for high-frequency trading. A lot of people don't know this. If you look at it, most jobs out there in financial institutions, usually Matlab is a standard in a lot of the financial institutions. Okay, I'm going to play a video here. This is not on anywhere online. This what I'm about to show you. It's an internal PDF from MathWorks showing who uses HFT and the benefits of using Matlab specifically for high frequency trading. So I'm going to play that video in a minute. So if you want, I'll put this URL of the video on, hang on here. Let me just put that in the chat box for you. All right, so back to my presentation. Now the thing is, with what I'm about to show you today or tonight, is you got to ask yourself, is this process the holy grail of visually developing a trading model to FPGA HDL, of course, which is the ultimate lowest latency. And not only that, but you can also do the same thing, co-generate to C or C++. Okay, and when you do that, you're basically developing your own self-contained end-to-end trading systematic model. Okay, that you can then deploy onto all your major operating systems, including Windows, Linux, custom Linux if you want, and even Mac OS X for Apple. Now, usually when I do these, people come back and need to confirm some of the claims I'm stating. So this is what I want you guys to do. We'll do this in the Q&A. Basically, Simulink has a big capability now where you can take a trading model or a model, period, and be able to deploy it natively into an Android app or an Apple iOS app. So if somebody wants to go out there and confirm that for me and let me know how you interpret that, I'd like to have a little discussion on that towards the end. Okay? So that's the whole presentation. So I'm going to fire up this little video. This video is not my standard channel. I put the URL in there already. It's in my second channel. Don't mind the Madonna music, but this is an internal document from MathWorks that they use to showcase why people use Matlab for algorithmic trading, specifically high frequency trading, and all the benefits that come with it. So it's a 3-minute video. So let me fire up. Let me know if you got any problems. Let me see if this puppy works. This is currently on YouTube. Let me do a refresh here. There we go. Like I said, it's Madonna, so don't mind that. So what we're looking at right now is the entire PDF that MathWorks use. These are the benefits of the trading. Algorithmic trading. These are the banks that use Simulink and Matlab. Obviously Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, UBS, Citibank, Barclays, Lloyd's of London, State Street. In there you'll find also BlackRock, Fidelity, all of them. Good chunk of them. Alright, let's get on with the video here. So this is specifically for FPGA and high frequency trading from the world of MathWorks, okay? And this is a typical workflow that you go through. These are the benefits, saving a lot of time and the conflict that goes on, usually. Alright. So obviously we're using Simulink to do that. You can deploy it to FPGA or HDL, as I mentioned already. Yeah, James, that's typical. It's Madonna, as I said. So we got the prototypes, 50% faster. I turned it down, James. Probably a lot of people prefer that. No problem, James. So you can do it all in one GUI, all this processing, what I'm about to show you for your workflow. You can generate your HDL code automatically. I'll be showing that tonight with C++ and C. I'm just going to do pipelining. Save on the clock processing. There you go, low power using FPGA, reduce clock frequency. This is the workflow you typically go through. You could do the manual coding, or you could use this workflow, generate your VHDL or Verilog, put it to your FPGA. And here we're going to algorithmic trading specifically. So you can see HFT is part of algorithmic trading. Speed is everything. Alright, on to the next page, please. There we go. Quickly embed into the trading engine. I can assure you of that, that's important to me. This is typical workflow that most banks go through before something like Simulink and Matlab. There's one example used by all these banks we hinted at already. I think that's it. Yeah. Alrighty, so that's the presentation. Who's got questions on what I've talked about so far with Simulink, Matlab, the benefits of it, applying it to high-frequency trading before I get on to the demo? Anybody got any questions? I only spent 11 minutes on that, almost 12 minutes. Anybody got any questions thus far? Nobody? I'll wait it out. Can you code export into MetaTrader? You know, funny you asked that. Now let me show you something. This is the only demo that I know of, just so you can see this with MetaTrader. I'll put this in the link. I'll let you guys, here you go. Guess what I just saw? I'll let this article answer that for you, Steve. Yeah, where am I going? You gotta love Firefox here sometimes. Okay, here we go. Okay, there's this article that should be able to answer your question. So basically, there's an article on there about how to integrate MetaTrader with Simulink. Developing an expert advisor within MetaTrader, and you can generate your C from it, and then deploy it into your Simulink, or into your MetaTrader. So let me while we're on this might help out people. So what we start with within Simulink, we have a blank canvas in Simulink, and everything's broken up into blocks. Here's one example. And then there's another important element called state flow, which is a state flow chart, which is like a visual flow chart. I'm going to show you one in a minute, very simplistic. This is an actual production, or used for production with MetaTrader. Yeah, you can then apparently call these expert advisors, I think they call them, MetaTrader, all courtesy generated by Simulink. Okay, so to answer your question, Steve, funny haha, no, it's possible. Welcome. Yes, expert advisor, yeah. I mean, I would be doing this, and I would consider it with MetaTrader. I do like MetaTrader. If anything out there for a free platform, I love MetaTrader. The problem I have is the brokers. They're usually corrupt, but guess what? If I'm going to go with Oanda, they support MetaTrader, so that's a nice option to have. Okay, so let me show you. Anybody else got any questions at all? I might be able to pull off a surprise good answer for somebody like what Steve asked. Anybody else? I'm going to start up the demos. Okay, so everything's on my second screen here. So this is Matlab. Okay, this is the typical main window, we have a command window, and typically what I'm going to show you are the two major parts of Simulink. Alright, so this here is the Simulink library browser. Oh, sorry, Steve's got another question. Can you pull MetaTrader code into Simulink and then back into MetaTrader? I don't think so. What you need to do, Steve, is you're going to have to generate C code from Matlab, Simulink, and then take that code and deploy it into something like MetaTrader 5, okay? Or MQL 5, because it's supposed to be compatible with C or C++. That's your best way to do it. Back to the Simulink library browser. Everything in Simulink is broken up into blocks. These little blocks here are just some of them. There's hundreds of them, at least dozens of them. I am not an expert at this. I'm just learning as I'm going. I'm just going to be breaking it down for you very easily. All right, so here's the central part of everything. So basically how it works is this is the canvas that you work within Simulink, okay? We have three pretty well major parts. I call this the inflow. That's pretty well a typical way of how Simulink models work. These canvases turn into models. You can have subsystem models and self-contained models and blah, blah, blah. This is by definition what Simulink defines a model, okay? So what we have is we have our inflow part, which is pretty well your inflow for, let's say, your data coming in through some form of provider. It could be dumped into the workspace, which is, where's my workspace here? This right here is a workspace. Okay, so T0 out would be a typical variable. It's a double of arrays. This is probably what they look like. So, just an array of doubles, 50 length. All right, so back to this. Okay, hang on here. Let me get to the main browser. I'll take a little more questions once you get through this piece, okay? Hang on for a sec. Okay, so here we have our inflow. So we can dump it and import it from a spreadsheet, from a flat file, like a CSV. There are ways I'm going to test down the road where we can feed it and stream it from a live data provider. Theoretically, it may work, it may not. It may work via Java. And then we have our main logic. This case is a state flow. I'll break that. I'll do a detailed walkthrough of that in a minute. And then the other end you have your scope. Traditionally, Simulink is really built for electricians and engineers, so that the traditional way of how they monitored output was through a scope. Now, with the newer versions of Simulink, they have all kinds of things. You have like little light switches and levers and gauges, all kinds of stuff. You can actually dump them into charts now. It's very powerful. I'm still kind of learning it, but traditionally is how it is with a scope. So that's the output. So when you break into the from the test model, okay, to let's say state flow, how it works is this is what they call a default transition. So once the data comes in, which is being fed, and you can see it's all connected visually, so that's all cool. And let me just break up the model here into state flow. So this is a state flow chart. This is like basically like a flow chart. So as I said, there's a default. All the data comes into here. It will first run this custom function, which is really a Matlab function. Here's the parameters of this x and period, what I call. This is just really just for demo purposes. You need to include this directive to generate the code, and then you can do your usual Matlab coding. Be it you're not using any external toolboxes, you're just keeping to the core functionality of Matlab. And you can run your algorithms within this function of Matlab. So that is how you can do that. Hang on here, let me just go back to my Simulink canvas here. Oh, wrong Matlab here, hang on. Where's my canvas? Okay, so here's a state flow. So basically what this is saying is this is going to run this Matlab and then just return some whatever output. And then at the same time, based upon that condition, you can have two states. You can have as many states as you want. You know, these are states that you can just do whatever with, okay, and then have transitions going to that particular state, right? So essentially you can have like little flags or some kind of return value, and that's it. And then you have that output go into your scope. Now out of that you have your editor, which is basically a model browser. Hang on here, or sorry, a model explorer. This is how you define your model. So in this case, you have your chart definition, you have some states here, you have your output variables, or your objects, I guess you could call them, and your input objects, and so on and so forth. I'm not, like I said, I don't want to get too involved with that. I got videos to really detail this. So this is basically your model. Now, hopefully this will still work. So here we can simulate. So it's compiling, and then it's going to run. So all it's really going to do is it's going to just throw a little, oh, yeah, here I got my first warning. Actually, is it running? Yeah, it looks like these are just standard warnings. So basically, if you look at the scope, hopefully this worked. No, it didn't work. Usually what will happen is you'll get your values here of just saying a -1 because, you know, this returned a -1. All right, so that's the model. Now, next step I'll go into code generating, show you how to create C++ from it. Okay, so Patrick had some questions about MQL is on C++, I think, so you can make Simulink C functions DL and call from MQL. I'm going to suppose so. That link I provided from MQL5 should be able to address that. Again, I can't confirm that. I guess you guys would need to figure that out. Yeah, and then Steve's confirming, yeah, you can call it cleanly. And it looks like he's happy there. Okay, so anybody else have any other questions regarding Simulink, the trading model, and blah, 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 before I get to the next step? I think I might have a little problem here. Let me just get rid of these here. Hopefully that'll work. And here, let me cut that. Nope. This may not work. Okay, and here. Oh, my simulation's running for some reason. Sorry, I'm kind of new to Simulink, so I'm probably looking like a dumbass here. Let me just try to do something here to fix this problem. Okay, there's problem 1. Problem 2, hopefully. Okay, let me just connect that. Okay, let me get rid of this one. Okay, so let me try running this again. Hopefully we can see our scope here, finally outputting some stuff. Anybody else got any costs? Steve asked the cost. Okay, so we finally got our output. So there's our line that I was hoping to show you. Really cool, I guess. Okay, Steve, regarding the cost, this is the thing with Matlab. With everything, I'm estimating with everything you can range for the core Matlab, $2,000. The licensing, the Simulink, you know, you're probably looking at another $4,000 or $5,000, and then the compilers with the HDL, or if you're doing the coder, each one can cost up to $15,000. So you're running up to $20,000 or $30,000, $40,000. People may think that's expensive, but when you're trying to do what I'm going to show you on the code generation side, you're going to save a ton of dough because you can now code generate what I'm just showing you right now in to C or C++. Okay, that's very powerful. You're going to save a lot of money there. So I want you to take it from that point of view. Okay. So one of the other powerful things is, let me run this again, is you can watch this thing run, right? You can watch this data flow as you saw those blue lines light up. And if you get into very sophisticated models, you can watch the data flow live, which is kind of cool. And with the new 2015, you can actually watch it right in the canvas itself. So that's something else you can do. I've seen some monthly subs. I'm not sure subs you mean, Patrick. If you want to take that again, like so I can understand it. I'm not sure if you're meaning my subs, my members. Oh, subscription fees. Yeah, you could say. All right. So that's Matlab and Simulink running. Hopefully people like that. Okay, this is why I'm moving everything, all my energy into Simulink because of these capabilities. This is just a start. What I'm going to show you is going to kind of hopefully blow your mind. All right, anybody else got any questions on Simulink, the model? Very basic model I'm showing you. Just want to show you how it runs, how it works from a very hello world equivalent. Anybody else got any questions? All right, if not, let's get into code generation. This is the fun part. Now you heard me talk about HDL. Are you paying up to 20K to do this? What do you think, Patrick? Of course. All right, so the HDL, and that's every 4 years. All right, HDL here. Let me just show you the options. Now, this is for FPGA. So if you were planning to do 20,000 to do the equivalent of FPGA hardware description language, you can deploy this model I just showed you visually. Remember, these are the blocks. Let me show you one of the blocks here. I forgot to do that. Here is a constant value. So this is like a TS, call it. Can come from your workspace as I showed you earlier. This is an array with 5 values here, and it's just being directly fed into that model I just showed you in the state flow. You can also feed another one in and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's how that works. So if you're not a programmer, you can develop all your trading ideas visually. And as I've shown you, you have all these trading blocks to play with. And there's a lot of third-party blocks you can get from other vendors on top of that as well. Okay, very powerful. But now you can take this and co-generate into C. First, I was showing you the HDL. So let's say if you want to go FPGA, ultra lowest latency possible, you can now do it. You can do it through this VHDL or Verilog. Now, what is VHDL, Verilog? They're proprietary languages from the 2 major FPGA providers out there, manufacturers of either Altera or Xilinx. So each one has its own proprietary language, which is either VHDL or Verilog. Okay, so this is the HDL coder component I'm showing you. And then you can do all kinds of verification, optimization. I have no idea. I've not played with it. I've got somebody else helping me out do that. And you can generate your code from that, from this training model that I've just shown you. So that's with FPGA, okay, for onto a FPGA board. Okay, next. This is the one I really like, C. Okay, so with C, you have either an option to deploy into C or C++. You also have target compilers. In my case, I chose the one for Visual Studio. I'm going to build this, and I'm going to show you, generate the C and create the Visual Studio project. Jay Bates asks, how long have I been using Simulink? I've been kind of playing with it on and off for about a year. That's how I've gotten so far along as I have now. But as I said, I'm moving into it fast and furious now. In this version with Matlab, give me about 2 weeks. That's all I've been doing within Simulink. Hopefully that'll help you out, Jay Bates. Okay, so back to the configuration. As I said, we have our targets. So we have many to choose from. These can be for embedded C. These can be for, as I say, for particular processors, for some TIs. There's a lot of customization you can have that with for C using these target files. So in this case, I'm using it for Visual Studio. All right, and not only that, but there's a lot more options that you can get. You can tweak your optimization in C for different types of generation. If you want faster runs, do you want faster builds, you can do that. Now the powerful thing, I'm going full throttle here, is so let's say you generate your C, but you want to include your Simulink block references so you can go back to that piece of the C code or C++ code and seeing how that's been generated within your Simulink model. Your state flow objects can also be included with that. You can also include your traces for your actual Matlab source that I've shown you in that Matlab function. And you can go very deep in the comments. I'm going to show you that in a minute. And of course you can include default header files as part of this build, initialize functions all in C, maybe a terminate function, any dependency libraries you need to include, or any other source files. Okay, you can build as part of the build. You can do that. You can do some debugging stuff and interface stuff and blah blah blah. It's been a while since I played with C++, but you have a lot of that. And again, you can change your interface packages as well. Okay. Don't ask me specifics on that because I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I'm just keeping it very, very basic. So I'm going to pull up this other window here. It's called a diagnostic viewer. I'm going to watch this puppy build. Okay, it's going to take a little bit, but hopefully it'll build with no problems. So off it goes. Let's check it out what's happening in the diagnostic window. Okay, so it's just created the report here. We'll go through that in a minute. Right now it's building the TLC, and now it's building the project for Visual Studio. So it's going to come back with a couple of errors, and I'm going to show you what that is in Visual Studio. Okay, but it's going to load up my Visual Studio with that project, with a solution file for Visual Studio. But let's go through the code. Okay, so this is the code. This is your generation. You can generate an HTML representation of this, very powerful. You can get all your Simulink flow. You can have thousands of subsystem models with it from your Simulink as part of this building generation. It's pretty hairy, but you can do it. You get all kinds of great reports, a great detail. So this is your typical C that gets generated in C++. As you can see, there's a good amount of commenting. You can turn it off if you want. I use it because I like to refer back to what is being generated. In this case, for this C right here, you can see it is referring back to that Matlab function I showed you with these calls right within that Matlab function I showed you in the state flow. And this is what it generates. You can also make references to the Simulink model itself. In this case, it's the chart, and anything else is generated, and you can trace that right back into your Simulink. So if you're new at it, you can do that. It's very, very powerful and very, very, very cool. And of course, you get your header files, same thing, and it'll include some dependency files. You can minimize this. But you still, if you're going to generate code at whatever level using the Matlab coder, you're still going to need to include these dependency header files. Okay, so that's what's included. I'm going to put this, make this available on my GitHub or my SourceForge. You can go through it at your leisure and go nuts with it. See what it generates. Okay, so let's check out our diagnostic model. So typically what will happen is it's going to load up my Visual Studio. So this is my Visual Studio. Now currently I'm running Visual Studio 2013 Ultimate. Okay. Now in the diagnostic viewer you'll see that there is a block message. Now I haven't properly configured it, but in Matlab you can target what Visual Studio version you're using. I'm keeping it old school to Visual Studio 10. When it opens up Visual Studio 2013, it's trying to open up a Visual 2010 project. So it's going to come back with an error. And what you need to do is you need to upgrade your project. And typically you just come into the project and you'll get an option here where it'll say update. in Visual Studio and bring it up to date to Visual Studio 2013. Okay, it's that easy. I showed that in the video, so hopefully you can see that. So as you can see, I have that same code I just showed you in my Visual Studio, and now I can go bonkers and start adding in my data provider, any other logic, create a DLL for this, drop it into C#, or go nuts and create other C++ code on top of what you see here. And this is a completely self-contained model. Now if I run it, it's just going to come back saying it can't run, okay, because there's no entry point for the Simulink model. All right. So, we got Paul is online. Okay, hey everybody who's new. Okay, question Paul's got asked. Go ahead, Paul. Let's take some questions. This is the whole idea. Hopefully you've seen my videos that want to go into greater detail. Let's do a complete discussion on this. So, Paul, go ahead if you got your first question. Yeah, you're available. You can speak, Paul.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't call in earlier.
No problem.
Oh, but I'm kind of getting in the middle of this. Just one quick question.
Yeah.
You started it in Simulink, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're developing something in Simulink, and then you're converting that diagram into C++ code.
Right.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Did you see how I built it?
Can you just run through it?
Yeah, I'll just go right through. Right here. If you come under your canvas here, you'll get code, and then you go into either HDL code, which is for your FPGA board, or if you want, you have your options. You can just build it right out, but usually I like to maybe change the settings within my C++. So as I said, you have your target. I've got this targeted towards my Visual Studio to create the Visual Studio project, and at the same time just go build, and that's what I just did, and it generates C++ code for you. And if I want to generate C, I just change that and go build. That's it.
Okay, now you said that you're running on 2013 Visual Studio?
Yeah.
And if you do the build and you put it in, let's say, Visual Studio 2010.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, all right. So it would still hold.
Yeah, you could go far back as Visual Studio 2008.
Okay.
But just so you know, Visual 2013 community is free.
Right.
So you can easily move into 2013. The only difference here is I get more bells and whistles for the ultimate for like version control and blah 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 blah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Who else got questions? Because I want to do this live interaction with you guys. So if you guys got questions, I can. Because this is probably my future. What I just showed you, visually, being able to generate your trading model, as I showed you here in the canvas. I got two versions here. I always get confused. From this, with the the flow charting, and be able to generate code from it. I mean, I've not yet seen any tool that can do that. And the code's fairly tight. It's efficient code. It's not like crappy code. It's pretty decent. And I'll like I said, I'll make this available on my GitHub or something. But I'll make this publicly available so people can go through. Who else got questions? And I forgot to mention, because I mentioned this in the presentation. This code, where's my options here? Hang on here. This guy with the target, I can target whatever compiler I want. So I can target this and do the same process for Linux and Mac OS X as well. And I can also do this for embedded systems as well. Like I could do this right onto a custom processor for one. I've seen examples of it done on a Texas Instruments processor. So you can do this as an embedded. This process is really used for, I've seen examples for flight simulators, for missile launchers. I put up a funny posting on that, as well as pretty well anything robotics. It's all done through Simulink. And I know big companies are using it. Patrick asked, one need to know how to code anyways to understand the outcomes. Exactly. But Patrick, this here, the nice thing about Simulink, even though if you're not strong in programming, you can still see your data flow. Let me just give you an example. Here's the model. Here's the data flow. Let me just repeat so people understand this. We're feeding an array with these values of 12, 232, all these constants into this state flow chart, and I can see it run. So let me show you. So I'm going to run it, and you can see the data flow. And here it's telling me something. I guess we're applying the changes. Yeah. And here you can see the data flow into that state of cell. In this case, like, as a joke, right? And then of course we got the output, which I showed earlier of the scope. Okay. It's very powerful, and with Matlab and the guide, which is basically a rapid GUI front end that you can build other components that you can put on top of these Simulink models. You can do charting. I've got one for my upcoming Karen Super Trader where I've got a surface where it will do a calculation on the volatility of VIX and just plot a surface plot, a very basic surface plot, kind of like in a 3D from Matlab's world. But it's great to be able to do that within the visually within Simulink. I just, the power of this is just so amazing. So to answer your question again, Patrick, you don't have to be a strong programmer, but you're right. You've got to really know how that code is generated if you are going to use C or C++, because C is easy. A lot of people start out with C, so you can stick with C. But if you want to go C++ and go all hairy and add in the inheritance and all that object-oriented stuff, you can do that too with C++. So the big advantage is you can develop this visually. And as Steve asked, if you're using MetaTrader with that other example I showed with MetaTrader, you can do that too. And you can generate C and C++ and drop that hopefully into a MetaTrader as well. And you can develop all that visually. That's what I love about it. I could ramble on. Who's got other questions about anything? Doesn't have to be about Simulink or Matlab. I'm trying to develop my first real-world trading strategy with the Super Trader Karen. If you've been watching what I've been doing with Tasty Trader. Go ahead, Paul. Got a question?
Yeah. When you run the actual Simulink,
yeah,
you show the scope.
Yeah, you want me to show it to you?
Yeah, and let's see what's in the scope.
All it is just shows. Here, let me just run it again here. Okay, you see what it's doing? Because I'm setting the flag here as -1, so that's all the output is, just a -1.
Okay, so the scope is the output from the chart.
Right. Got it?
Yep, got it.
Yeah, the scope is dynamic. I'm not sure what you're referring to, dynamic, meaning dynamic, Patrick. But yeah, it could be a sine wave. It could be anything you want. Yeah, like in my case, I'm just using the scope as a way to generate signals. So in my case, I'm just generating a simple buy and sell. That's it. I could tie in here on the when I'm generating the code. I could do something like code generation options. Remember here in the custom code, I could probably put in my C code for the execution, right? So if it sees a signal, put a trade out. Or I mean, there's limitless possibilities what you can do with it. It's just I could go on about it. I just love the possibilities. Yeah, again, Patrick. For live data, I can give you the link here, but there is a way here in the inflow here. These are the blocks I was mentioning. This is called a source block parameter. So in this case, these are all the blocks that you have available. Like I said earlier, dozens of them, mostly for electronic purposes. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Paul, if you got a comment. Go ahead, Paul. Oh, Paul, you muted yourself. Okay. So like I said, you can build custom blocks. You available, Paul? No? But what I was going to say, you can build custom blocks. They're called S functions. And what you can do within the S function is you can wrap that function and then be able to read or talk to a DLL, or sorry, I think a DLL possibly, but the demos that I've seen on the MathWorks blog is you within that Simulink S block, custom block, you can have it read Java jar files. So in that case, let's say if you have a data provider that gives you Java support, they'll give you obviously your jar file, your Java jar file, your Java archive file, and you'd be able to access all the code within that jar file here in your custom S function. That's pretty mind-blowing. You can do the same thing on the other end too, on the other end. And you can call various, your different S blocks or S functions within this model visually and be able to maybe possibly call S or sorry, custom Java jar files. That's awesome. I haven't confirmed it, but that's what MathWorks saying you can do. But when you code generate, that becomes another problem. I have no idea how that would work because you probably wouldn't be able to translate or transfer the Java jar file. I have no idea how to do that yet. I'm sure it's possible, but that's a nice thing to have. Paul, are you ready for your comment?
Yeah, I had to log out and come back in. Sorry about
No
that.
problem, no problem.
I think this is really a neat idea that you're showing.
Yeah.
I think the additional power of it is that you can build these little blocks
Yep.
of algorithms, or and almost like Legos, and put them together. With
That's right.
Different configurations, and play around with them to see if you get a different performance P&L or something.
Right.
But that was, I think the ease of the graphics and be able to put them all together. And,
Yeah.
And almost, to me, it seems like it would reduce the time to actually develop an algorithm.
Yeah. What I would encourage you to do, I'm going to put this video, this recording on YouTube. Watch the early parts of my presentation. I got a video on MathWorks showcasing who's using MathWorks in the banks, and this is what they're using to build out their solutions. Yeah. Okay, so we got a couple more questions from Patrick concerning sockets. As I said with the custom code, where am I looking here? Okay, back to the configuration. For you, Patrick, you probably could put your code, your static library in C, let's say, where you could have your sockets be called in so that the Simulink model would be able to have connections into the sockets via this functionality here, like your initialize function, and maybe your header file or the source files or libraries themselves. Okay, so that's an option you could have. Steve's got a question, and build up a toolbox of functions that you can take to new systems. Exactly, Steve. Yeah, you can do that. I haven't shown you, but they have what they call supercharts and subsystem models. So I could take this model, put it into its own hierarchy and treat it as one object, and then have higher level Simulink models be able to call that submodel. So that is very possible. I'm just making it very easy for everybody to see what you can do just on a very basic and very primitive level. And exactly what I just said, Patrick, that's what I'm talking about, equivalent of a copy and paste. So you can do that for sure. It is very flexible. I mean, this thing's amazing. I knew about this a year or 2 years ago, and after playing around with Python and R and .NET, it was just a joke, and it was very frustrating. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed James' question. James asked, in previous meetups we've had talks on sophisticated methods like genetic programming. Can Simulink be used for those kind of strategies? Yes. The blocks, James, let me just go back. Some of the blocks do tie into the machine learning functionality of of Simulink. So here you have a classification of fuzzy logic. That's machine learning. In my case, sometime I'm going to be looking at system identification. These blocks open that up to machine learning for sure. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody. Patrick asked about live data. I think we've already talked about that. Okay. Okay. So hopefully I've answered everyone's questions and comments so far. Anybody else got? Sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
Yeah. Quick question.
Yeah.
For the block, is there one that would actually graph an output, not using the scope, but more like a curve fitting, or?
Yeah.
Is there any?
Yeah, let me show you. Actually, let me show you some examples. Maybe I should run some examples here of yeah. If you use Matlab Guide, which is like a rapid guide, like a GUI development tool, which includes charting. Hang on here. I think we. Oh, thanks. Let me just pull up the. Okay. Let me just show you some examples here. Okay, so these are Simulink models that you can play with, tons of them. The one I was talking about, the missile launcher thing, is this one right here. Let me just try one out. I've never run these. Let me see documentation, and then open this example. Okay, so this is how good Matlab is. I've never seen this before. If you want to see this run, all we have to do is just do this. Run it on the command line, command window, and load it up. It'll take a little bit. Here we go. So here's our example model in Simulink. So we have a custom Matlab function. Let's see what it does. So I'm going to be answering your questions hopefully here. Hopefully, let me see what just generated here. Doesn't look like it. Oh, here we go. So here you go, Paul. Yeah, you can generate charting from it.
Okay, so what's generating the figure is guide?
This is guide right here. This is a guide component. Okay, so let me just show you what that is.
No, I know what it is.
Oh, do you? Yeah, but that.
Yeah, I know guide.
Yeah. Oh.
So basically, the idea would be an algorithm that's doing something in Simulink, but you have to port it into Guide to see the graphics of it.
Right, and that's all called in the output here. Maybe I think it's probably this one here that's doing it. Again, I'm new to. So this is an entire function that will call the output of that model. So it's going to call that guide component. Let's call it. So yeah, you can have charts. And
so in Simulink, one of the boxes has to be calling guide.
Right, or the component for guide, which is really a custom M function.
Right.
And you can put animation in there. I mean, it's very interactive. It's just unbelievable, some of this stuff. Let me see some of the other examples we can play with. Hang on here. Okay, let's see anything else we've got. Let me just do a search here. Simulink examples. Hang on here. Simulink examples. Yeah, you can have some pretty interesting models that they've provided. Let me just do it through examples. Let's see what we got here. Examples. Let me just see one where we can add some interactive. I can't remember which ones I ran, but it really blew me away what you could do. You have face recognition, you have scatter plots, you've got, it's just unbelievable what you can do. So let me just put it this way. If you got Matlab, you do have Simulink. I'll put this link in and you can go crazy with it. There was one, this is a flight simulator, I believe. I can't remember how it ran, but let me just see how we can, if you want to see that one. I think, no. I don't want to waste people's time, but believe me, you can add a lot of interactive whatever with Matlab or Simulink. It's come a long ways over the last few years since I've played with it. I told you about the about, if you want, I can show this one, flying a plane, like flight simulator. Let's say I'm going to see. It's just unbelievable what you can do with this thing. You can go crazy with it.
So
go ahead, Paul.
It seems to me, Brian, that one could just design everything in Simulink.
That's why I put up my email 9 days ago. 100% of my effort's going to go into Simulink. Nothing else.
And you don't even need to drop into the normal Matlab environment.
No, this is like two products in one.
Yeah. I mean, you could do start to finish. It seems almost start to finish.
It is now with the new 2015 example. Or I'm going to run this. This is a kind of funny example. Yeah, you can do that because with the new 2015, they include a verifier for FPGA deployment, and guess what? You can. It does it all, 100%. 100%. So let me just run this for fun. This has a little animation to it, so it's going to fly off this little rocket thing here, and there you go. Some charts. You can input. You can change your parameters on the input on the inflow part, and this thing's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Steve, to comment about dials and other outputs. This is why I'm on the new Matlab, because that they included in the new 2015A. With my strategy that I'm going to be building, a lot of what I'm looking at is going to be nothing but gauges, and you want to look at premium, risk, and have a gauge running in real time. I can do that all within my Simulink model. That's one of the reasons why I did that. Let me just show you 2015A. Let me just show you that feature. I don't have it yet. I'm going to get it in the next couple of months. Hopefully I've got, no, maybe it's this one. But yeah, they've added this thing called a Simulink test, which is what I refer to. There's the gauges, dials, scopes. It's awesome. It's really, really awesome. I don't know where it is, but yeah, you have little things that you can add gauges and light switches right in your model, and you can see them all light up as the model's running. That's what I've been showing here. Now, nobody's never done it in the world of trading, but here you go. Now you can apply it to trading. And this is probably the ultimate way to do it. No more Python, no more R. You have the ability to code your C, as I showed you, or your C++. You could deploy it into an FPGA board. On top of that, you can hopefully be able to connect it into the world of Java as well. So this thing is just so powerful. Anybody else got any questions? Paul, what do you think? Speechless.
No, I think it's a great. I think that the add-ons that they have developed for the 2015 software, I think is great.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't. Part of my internal workflow isn't really utilizing Simulink as much as I should.
Yeah.
But probably because I was more trained, the old school man that way. But I'll tell you what, with this new technology within Simulink, I'm very impressed with it.
Right. Well, so was I. But here you can see it. It's let me good old PDFs. But you can see you have for in simulation for planes. Things just let me just there you go. But you can see this is a typical Simulink model. You got a gauge, all your gauges. Those are updating as the model's running. Okay, so you can have your inflow component here, your user input, feed into the model, and you can see the model run. And if there's a way you can have it interact with live data coming in from a data provider, and having the model run and seeing it run in parallel, run it live, and you can also have it replay any recorded data. I think you can interface it into a database. I mean, this thing is limitless. And then on this part here, the core part, you can take that logic and then deploy it, and because you're going to be able to generate code for it. I mean, yeah, it's expensive, but guess what? How much time is this going to save you? If you were to try to code this or hand code it or hire coders to do it, I think when you look at it from that point of view, it's in a way it's cheap, because I know people have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars hiring coders, and you know they're not able to complete their strategy that they have as a trading idea. But with this kind of tool, it enables you to do it visually with these blocks they're shown. It's awesome.
Right. And
this is the future of what I'm going to be focusing on.
I think it is. I think anything that goes graphic to down to its to the code, is the way to go. Instead of trying to code from bottom up.
Yeah.
It's more, we think visually.
Yeah, I do.
And then we don't think like code.
No.
We don't think linear. We think visually.
Yeah.
It completely makes sense. I think you're going in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, when I thought about it, and I was wasting my time on these charting packages and Python this and R that, it was really frustrating, because usually I'm thinking, I'm going to take this piece of code and modify it and implement it my own way. You're spending more time spinning your wheels, wasting time trying to understand what that code is doing, and it's really nerve-wracking. And as Steve says here, he says it's still challenging to manage programmers. But as I said, Steve, I believe if it's your model, your trading idea, you gotta kind of DIY, do it yourself. But I think with Simulink, it really distills down your focus. But as you said, it is cleaner, as you say. This to me is like a dream. It is pricey, but as I said, I'm not here to sell you Simulink or Matlab. I'm just giving you a sense of direction on where I'm going and why I'm using this tool with Matlab, and why I like to call it my girlfriend. Because you have a trading idea, you can now visually build it, and you're not. I could go on about cloud solutions and the limitations. I have yet to see what kind of limitations this workflow has. And as I said, I have not even talked about MuPad, which is basically an editor that you can build your algorithm in a scientific notation. I'm no expert at this, but if you're used to latex, you can build out your algorithm with a scientific notation. There is a methodology you can to take that algorithm that you built in MuPad, create a Matlab function, and then guess what? You can now take that. There are Matlab custom functions that you can use here, and be able to deploy that code, put it into a Matlab function, and that's another workflow for more advanced models. Or as you've seen in my particular little demo model that I demoed here, you can put it into your state flow chart here. So you could take that code that comes out of MuPad, create a MuPad or some kind of algorithm M function, and drop it into this into this code. So you can deploy that Matlab M function with the algorithm from MuPad, either in the state flow or Simulink itself, and then at the touch of a button be able to generate your C or C++ from it. So that is the workflow that I'm going to be going with. It's very powerful, and you can do this very rapidly, very rapidly. You're going from months probably down to days. Once you get proficient at it, you could probably develop some really powerful trading ideas very quickly. Anybody got any comments or questions further on this? I don't want to hammer everybody's head on it, but I just want to show you the huge benefits that this brings. The only thing that is going to be hard for people is the cost. But once you adopt this methodology, you are going to be able to take some form of a trading idea and be able to deploy it. And as I shown, Steve asked about MetaTrader, that's possible as well into MQL5. And then you can deploy it into a pretty powerful trading platform like a MetaTrader, or in my case, if I went with Trading Technologies XTrader, I can do the same thing with XTrader, or even Deltix if you've seen. Patrick asked a question. I'm going to estimate with all the whole kit and caboodle, depending upon what you want. For you, Patrick, I think just for the Simulink and the Matlab itself, you're probably running about $6,000-$7,000. Once you start adding on the, let's say the coder or the Simulink coder, it's probably going to run you up to about $15K. But again, if you're dependent upon, I'm guessing, if you want to do the HDL route, it's going to get more, 40, 50,000. But once you go to FPGA route, I was just talking to my guy last night, you're looking at costs of about $3,500 for an FPGA board. So if you plan to go down that route, you are minimum going to be spending $100 grand easily. Or Steve says, or a Windows app that can interface with MetaTrader but give a lot of data on the Windows screen and trades on and off in MetaTrader. Exactly. That's how MathWorks has designed this, so that this code, once it's deployed in a C, it can interface completely with other enterprise applications, or you can deploy it and have it integrate with Java, if I can get that working. That's just coming out of Simulink. But on top of that, using Builder NE, Builder GA, you can have all this code or whatever you develop in MATLAB interface directly into MATLAB. On top of that, right on this command line, I can't remember the commands, but you can directly call Java jar files right on this command window. So that you could do as well. And you can also call .NET DLL assemblies as well, right from within the command window. It's very easy to do. So you can do the same thing in your Simulink as well. Very flexible. This thing's mind-blowing what it can do. Whew, that's a lot. Anybody else got any questions or comments so far? Anybody else? I could be here all night. I love talking about this stuff. Paul, anything else you'd like to add? I should call you Dr. Paul. Or Dr. Cottrell. Patrick says there's a course tomorrow on training. MathWorks has all kinds of training. They're not cheap, but I mean, even my friend Dr. Ernie Chan uses only MATLAB. All the guys that I know that are really professional, making million-plus operations, are only using MATLAB. They don't use other tools. Kind of like toys in a way. But here's the link that Patrick's provided for the training. And they also have recorded webinars as well. Yeah. Patrick as well, the curriculum and the education from MathWorks is very powerful. So.
I like MATLAB a lot. I experimented with Python a little bit and R, but I'll tell you, MATLAB is a lot better.
Yeah, you don't hit the walls and technical challenges you get with both R and MATLAB.
But because of some of the research that that I'm doing, in the future and doing some webinars, I'll tell you that this webinar that you're doing right now, I can see implementing the Simulink workflow that you're demonstrating into speeding up some of my academic research. Yeah, that's the whole point. Time is money, and I got guys that have built and still waiting for a trading platform out of them because they're just getting bogged down by some wonky
stupid library or dependency in Python, Java, whatever it is. But guess what? You get that all under one GUI with Matlab. I mean, I cannot tell you how much time you'll save. And when you factor that in, to let's say the 10, 15, 20, $50,000 that you're going to spend, if you're serious at wanting to do this, this is the path. Because I've wasted probably years just experimenting with other languages and other tools and other whatever. But here I am. I now can start focusing on trading strategies. Not knocking R, or I'm not knocking Python. I just think in terms of really rapidly developing trading ideas and implementing them, this is the way, in my mind, it should be. Others will probably argue it, but it's pretty hard for me to sit here and say, you know what, I don't see any disadvantages with it.
Have you worked with, what's it called? Wolfram?
Why don't you type it up in the chat box if you can find a URL. Just copy it in the chat box.
Have you worked with Mathematica?
Yeah, I have, but it's nowhere near as advanced as Matlab. Back in the day, it had better integration with Java, but I think with what MathWorks provides is just beyond better. I mean, this to me, this system is like a dream. I'm going to leave it at that. That's why I like to joke it's my girlfriend. I spend so much time with it and get stuff done. I don't have to sit here and play with this, that, why doesn't this work, and pull my hair out. Yeah. Honestly, that's how I look at it. But like I said, I'm not here to pressure people into using MATLAB, but I do think that this methodology is the smarter way to get stuff done, if you're serious at what you're doing.
I agree with
you. And everybody I know that's serious in trading and developing ideas, everybody that I know that's $1 million plus is working with MATLAB, and they're $1 million plus. Why? Because they're using the right tools. But I mean, they're at a different level on the intellect with a guy like Dr. Ernie Chan. But you got Paul here, who's now got his PhD, and I keep saying, congratulations, man. He's now a doctor. So you got some serious players that use this stuff, and you've heard his comments on it. Anybody else? And anybody else who's got MATLAB or any questions on MATLAB, this methodology, what I'm doing? Anybody else? Usually our meetups can last quite a while. Patrick's given us some great resources for education if you want. Oh, another thing that I rely on a lot from MathWorks is the MATLAB webinars. If you want to see some really cool stuff, we've had this presenter. Let me just show you generally. Yeah, there's these recorded webinars from MathWorks where I lose right here. These are awesome. They give you complete working examples, 45 minutes, an hour of how they do it at MathWorks, live real world examples, and then you can download the code from MATLAB Central. And you don't have to read a book, and you're up and running instantly, literally. So if you wanted to learn about algorithmic trading, you got lots of this one right here does machine learning, all within MATLAB using I think it's just a genetic algorithm. Can everybody hear me okay? I just got a comment from Jay Bates that my audio is muffled. Could be somebody, background noise from somebody. Hang on here. Hang on. I'm going to have to mute people. Hopefully that's the problem. Don't be offended. I'm just trying to reduce background noise here. Can you guys hear me okay? How you doing, Wei? No, I'm not sure. There was something I heard. Okay, so as I said, if you want to learn about algorithmic trading, it's here. Actually, I'll just put this in this link. This right here. Yeah, here I might have to mute somebody else. Are we okay now? Can you guys hear me okay? Yep, gone. Okay, I got the right person. Sorry, Wei, it was you. Okay, so like I said, you have the algorithmic trading examples in the webinars. These are amazing. I can't stress how impressive these webinars are. There's algorithmic trading and automated trading put on by Stuart Cazzola. I believe that's how you pronounce it. We had him on one of our meetups. These webinars are amazing. One of them actually is a real world example. It goes out, and if you want to use Fix with Quick Fix, he shows you how to do that from Matlab. To be able to trade right out of Matlab using Java Quick Fix, or what's called Quick Fix J, or Xtrader is the other example as well. So they're available, and you can get that up and running real fast. And MATLAB's an easy language too. It's not one of these wonky, kind of like C++ languages. Anybody else got any questions? Anybody? Anybody at all? We're here to help you out. If anybody wants to help me out, Paul, if you got any comments you'd like to add in, I know you muted yourself. Yeah, here. Are you still thinking about a group project to create a system? Steve, what I'm planning to do is, I'm not here to push my membership, but all the code, all the models I develop, I put into my memberships. This stuff that I'm doing tonight, I'll put up as a base model for everybody to work with. I'll put it on my GitHub or my SourceForge as an example to start with. But yeah, as part of what I'm doing, I'm going to put on my membership. So yeah. So it's kind of both, I guess. But in terms of a group system, I think I should mention this. What you're looking at, these models are self-contained trading systems themselves. Okay, this could be considered a trading system if I added the pieces on the end to do automated execution. So you could develop theoretically a complete system from this, and if I do that, I'll definitely throw the code up there and go wild. I'm planning to use Oanda as my broker. They have a Java support, so if I'm able to confirm that I can hook into Oanda with these Java wrappers, not secrets, but they're part of a blog on MathWorks, and I can get that working, I'll definitely provide that. So all that's going to be ready to go. But it's going to take me probably a couple of months to get there, because I want to work on these trading ideas first, worry about execution later. Anybody else got any questions? I can be here all night. I like talking about this. Whoever needs help, let me know. Comments, questions. If anyone's been on Twitter, I've been trying to shred a guy, haters and trolls. We get them all doing these online businesses. Anybody else got any comments, questions? Hate mail? I love hate mail. Anybody? Does anyone see themselves use this type of methodology? Ken asks, are you trying to create an algo for Karen SuperTrader? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. Let me show you those pieces right now. I'm a little different in terms of building out models, but what I've got is where's my Karen? So I got all the pieces here, so I am building it. Basically what I'm building out is I talked about the implied volatility part. I can show that. Maybe Paul might find this interesting. Let me just run that if you want to see that. Basically, this is a from MATLAB Central that I got. In here. Okay, what do I got to run here? If I remember, there's an example or some matter. But yeah, I am working on a Super Karen Trader for Super Trader Karen. So the answer is yes. I'm just showing you some examples here. Why am I not finding what I'm looking for? No, sorry, wrong directory. This is what I'm looking for. Hang on here. This is a volatility surface I talked about earlier. This is awesome. This is another beautiful thing about the community in Matlab, Matlab Central. So if I run, let's say, this example, hang on here. Let's see if it will load up my chart here. Just give me a second here. I got too many charts going on at once here. I'm just looking for it. Okay, yeah, there it is. So here's what's generated. You can see it's a surface plot. You can zoom in, do your usual surface plot stuff if you're used to Matlab. You can do all your oh no, cut the wrong one here. You can do all your analysis. So what I'm going to do as part of this model is I'm going to have it update this volatility surface. Part of the Karen's trader, she uses Bollinger, so I'm going to have a chart that will track the Bollinger when it hits standard deviation, use those as triggers for the entry and exits, that sort of thing. So I'm looking at that right now. And I'm also trying to find ways to feed data into a model. I don't know if you've seen what I've been posting today about using XLQ as a data feed provider. This is pretty cool. Let me see here. So what I've got here, I have the ability as part of XLQ. This is for sale. It's a commercial product. It's $150, very cheap. You can use different data sources to feed in, basically stream in data tick by tick from Yahoo, and of course you get your bid, your ask, all that stuff right from Yahoo, and then you can feed that into your simulate model. I've got another code set that will do it from a database through a .NET system or product that I've modified from online. So yeah, all this is being built out over the last week or so. So that's how I plan to build my models. And as I said, where's my canvas here? So I built something equivalent to this and be able to generate C++ from it, and then figure out, do I want to just do something from C or C++, or do I want to do something if I deploy it into an FPGA environment? So all my future strategies will be built like this. And usually the Karen Super Trader one is the first one, because everyone knows it. And it's a fairly easy strategy too. High risk one, but it's worthy as an exercise. Anybody else got any questions? Anybody? I could go all night, because that's Kensley's question. Not sure if Paul may have some other questions, or James. Who else? Steve has some questions. Ken, Jay Bates. Anybody else got any? Daniel just joined us. How you doing, Daniel? I haven't talked to you in a while. Let me unmute Wei. Oh, mate, Wei's all silent. Cool. So, anybody got any questions? Hey, Brian. Hey, Daniel. Wei, you're out there, I guess. I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm here.
What do you think?
I've used the Simulink in my college.
Oh, college days, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm an engineer.
Yep.
So I'm familiar with the Simulink thing. But I think it's very interesting for you to introduce the Simulink.
Yeah.
In trading.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone out there has publicly stated, that this can be used for trading. So here we are. I think it can be done. I mean, scientific applications no different than trading applications.
But Brian, I have a question.
Go ahead, man.
Where do you get all these trading strategies ideas?
How do you mean?
Where do you find all these trading strategies or ideas? Let's think about them by itself.
Where do they come from? Well, I mean, you got to realize I've been doing it for 5 years. I've always known about the super trader, Karen one. She's built up a $200 million fund, and she's a day trader, retail trader. She's fully explained her strategy. It's online, so I'm just trying to replicate it. There's another strategy I'm taking from a course I've taken, which is a pairs trading kind of arbitrage, various stocks. I'm going to implement that. I've got another strategy I came up with from a futures and options course I've taken, so I'm going to try to implement that. I've got other people that have sent me strategies, but obviously I can't talk about those because it's a confidential thing. So I have a few of those. That's where I normally get the ideas from. In terms of other places, a good place to go is what do you trade? Wait.
Let me tell you a story. I went to a workshop, day trading workshop.
Yeah.
And I learned some trading ideas from this. Then I called the trading ideas.
Okay. Well.
Yeah, so that's basically where my trading ideas come from.
Okay. I was thinking you were gonna say maybe Forex.
Yes.
Okay.
And some stocks.
Okay. I'm looking for a website. You know what? Maybe email me this question. But there is a site I'm looking for right now that lists. Actually, if I go to my blog, it might have it. There's a website out there that you can use that will list out dozens of strategies, simple ones, complicated ones, and basically what it is just it's really meant for MetaTrader, but just from the flow of I'm just trying to think if I can find it. It's a great resource if you're looking for trading strategy ideas, and it's got dozens upon dozens of trading strategy ideas. Another good place to go is here we go. Here we go. That's the name. This is it. This is what I was looking for. This is a great resource for just generic trading strategy ideas. It's meant for MetaTrader and Forex. So I just put that in the chat box for you. This is a great place. Another good place to go is just to read retail trading magazines. Go ahead.
Sorry, Brian.
Go ahead.
I think this website is outdated. You can see the date of the article. It's very old.
Yeah.
And in Forex, where the market changes so fast, and I think maybe the trading ideas 2 years ago it worked fine, but right now the environment changed. So,
well, if you're a newbie, another good place is Automated Trading. It's a magazine you can just go get at your local. Well, you're in Canada, right? Like Chapters or Indigo. Futures World's quite good if you want to do futures. Futures magazine, I love that mag. This one right here, that's a great place. It's a good resource if you're new. There's tons of places online for just trading ideas. I think hopefully I'll help you out, Wei.
Thank you.
No worries, man. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so Ken asked, if we have confidential trading strategies we have to share it with you, are you signing other people's non-disclosure agreements or do you have your own? Okay, to answer your question, Ken, I have both. I'm a pretty chilled out dude. I'm not a selfish person. So usually people trust me where they send over just strategies without any non-disclosures being signed or anything. But I won't go out and release them. I get their permission sometimes if I'm going to implement something. I haven't done it yet. I've done with one strategy, and I'll pass it to Ernie Chan. I'll get the permission first, pass it to Ernie. Ernie's very trustworthy, believe me. And he'll vet it. And we also had Lennon Quant was another guy I had to see if it was worthy. Those were great resources I had. So now in terms of my own trading strategy, if you want to know the source of that, actually, if anybody wants to help me out here, there's a great course I'll put out there. If you want to learn true dynamic relationships about trading, let me see. This is easily the best course I've ever learned about trading futures and options. It's very old school. Hang on here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, this is it. This course is amazing. I'll put the link in. I've pumped this quite a few times. But generally, this course is very powerful. It's about 25 videos. It's a lecture of an actual. It's still taught at University of UC Davis. It's very, very impressive. This has really opened my eyes about options and futures trading. If anyone wants to help me out to implement this in Matlab, give me a holler, man. Because I'm going to be doing this thing. And this thing is anything I've seen in the world of trading. This is the most exciting one. So if anyone wants to help me out, let me know. Okay, so Eddie asks, are there more ideas than time to code? I agree with you, Stephen. It's crazy. Eddie says, did you know how much historical data Karen used to generate her probability distribution to trade her options with? No, I don't, but I mean, really, from my understanding, talk of the town is you shouldn't have to go more than 3 months prior. If you're trading on the tick, and that's what she's doing. She's just basically, in a human way, high frequency trading, watching her risk, watching her premium, watching what's about to expire, and puts it on, rolls it over, and she just repeats, rinses, and recycles. That's all she's doing. I think you just reposted my posting, Ken. Down here. I think that's UA with that background noise. Sorry, I'm gonna have to mute ya. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. Wait, I don't like doing that. Okay, who else got some questions? Because I'm just trying to be open here on the directions I'm going with the Simulink, the Matlab, all that fun stuff. Let me know what you think. Anybody else got any questions, comments, or I like to say hate mail? We're up to an hour and a half. I could be here all night. So, what, 8:30 my time? Thanks. This is really useful for a newbie. No problem, Patrick. It's what I try to do. It's why we do this weekly. I think we've been doing weekly for a while now, since I think November, December. Jay Bates asks, what about the FPGA board? That's a pretty generic question. Why don't you unmute yourself, Jay Bates, if you can, and we can further discuss. That's a pretty generic question. I can go back.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was wondering what it looked like a demo board or something. Is there like a? I suppose when you're spending all that money for the software, the board is pretty cheap. But
yeah,
I'm going to try using the student version, so I'm going on the cheap end here.
Yeah, you can. That to start out, it's under $1,000 to get you started.
So what's the cost on an FPGA board?
Well, I know I asked about the high-end boards. They're about 3.5 Gs. Actually, I was gonna. He was saying that the Vertex 5, let's say, let's see how much the Vertex 5 boards cost. It's just as powerful. They're 4 or 5 years old. Let's see how much one costs. He said they're very cheap, so you can get one as cheap as here to start with, $450 on eBay. That's pretty good. You know?
Very good. Thank you.
No problem, man. Somebody else had a question? I heard a voice there. Anybody else? Who else? Anybody got questions, comments? Has this been helpful for everybody? Who sees themselves working in Matlab now? Who's not working in Matlab? Have I converted anybody? Oh yeah, Pacha. Oh my God, that's a lot of yeahs. Why using FPGA? Way asked that. Let me show you the video. You watch this video, Way. I think let's do it. Search for FPGA HFT. There is a video that basically right here. This one. This video will explain it all. You watch that video, Way. It'll say why FPGA is the fastest. So, you're not going through any wonky operating system configuration, any database stuff. It's quite possible you could use an FPGA. Even at those kind of boards we just listed, the $400 or $500 one could be useful for a production environment. Just drop it into a custom server, and you're good to go. I've looked at servers you can get as cheap as $200-300. Get it co-located somewhere, and you're off to the races. So everyone's converted. We got Ken converted. Eddie's contemplating it. Steve sees the potential. Jay Bates says yeah. That's 4 or 5 people there. I should be collecting royalty checks from MathWorks. Okay, Way. Hopefully I'll help you out. James says I'll definitely look into it. James, I know you're on a budget. The home edition you can get for like $150 to start you off. I'm not sure how much the toolbox for Simulink. You could probably do it as low as a couple $100, but once you start wanting to co-generate, that's when you start to pay. But it's going to cut you down a lot on time and stuff. So that's probably 6 people out of 13 people. That's pretty good. Oh, and then there's the rest of us. Is Matlab on a subscription basis? Well, it depends what you define, Eddie, as Matlab. I got a friend who's also working one of their bigger installs. I asked that. Basically how it works is you buy your regular licensing, you get 4 years of support, and then when you continue on to the next set of updates, you got to basically pay again every 4 years. So if you're spending $50K on Matlab, wait it out for 4 years, and you got to do it all over again to get the full support. As I said, if you're generating a system that's generating you thousands of dollars, and you break it down every 4 years, it's just like an overhead cost. Let's say that you're spending $50K every 4 years. It's $12.5K each year as an overhead cost. But if that system that you develop generates hundreds of thousands of dollars, wouldn't you think that that's next to nothing? That's how I look at it. So don't let the cost scare you. Not sure who that is. His hand here. I think we just muted him. Sorry, William, if that was you. Anybody else got any questions? Because I think MATLAB is the way. So I'm not here to sell MATLAB to you. I can't even sell MATLAB. But as a fan, it's something I would kind of look into if you're having problems with R or Python or even C++ itself or Java. What I've shown you can hopefully cut down a lot of your time and get you up and running fairly quickly with all the resources that are out there, specifically if you plan to use Simulink. Anybody else? Questions, comments? This is what it's about. We've been doing, I think, an hour now of it. I don't mind doing it. I don't want to draw straws and look desperate, but if any of you have burning questions, if you guys need to reach me, how many of you guys use Facebook? The social media way. Just give me a yeah. If you want, I'm going to give you my Facebook contact. I've been getting really inundated with quite a lot of Facebook, but if you're on Facebook, just reach out to me and become my friend if you want. I do a lot of messaging. I have groups. I've got my quantlabs.net page. So if you want to reach out to me there, maybe if you tweet Twitter. You can reach me out on Twitter as well if you want. But be forewarned, There's the trolls. You know, here's my Twitter handle if you want to reach me there. And you know, I make myself available to all my members via Skype or email. But lately, as my Facebook group's grown, I've been just getting barraged with questions. I'm at a point where I need to get help. Hired help to help me out in that department. Anybody else got any questions or comments? Anybody? Nobody? Oh, no problem, Daniel. Thanks for coming out, Daniel. I know you're a regular. Wade says you got to get to sleep. Ken says much appreciated. Oh, for you, you're in Australia, right, Wade? I think you're in Australia. Wait, no. Well, you're what? 14. Well, you're quite a ways away from me, so you're farther. I appreciate people like you dedicating to stay up or get up, or you know. I tried to do some East Asia editions, but nobody attended. Oh, you're in Jersey, okay. Okay. But I tried to do some East Asia for my East Asia people, like in Australia and India and China, but nobody showed. We'll tweet you when you post this video. Yeah, actually, for Jay Bates, if you're on my Meetup or Facebook, I'll definitely be posting the video of this and the source code on Meetup and YouTube and all the usual way. No problem, Patrick. Glad you came out. I'm glad everyone came out. Hopefully you guys... No problem, Eddie. Thanks for coming out. I appreciate you guys participating. We always do this next week. I'll be doing something. I don't know what. Maybe just do a usual jib-jab. This is the first time I've done an actual formal presentation. Paul, you out there? Why don't we talk about your presentation on the 27th that we just posted? You want to talk about your thing and your paper that you've just done?
Yeah.
Doctor Paul Cottrell.
Live webinars. I'm going to be doing some live webinars about some research that I've been doing with some collaborators around the globe. This particular paper that I'll be presenting on the 27th of April, I co-authored with an individual from Milan, Italy, and it's to discuss about how to read volatility surfaces for the market. And this is kind of a spin-off from some of the research that I've done for my PhD, but also from a software that I've been developing called Poseidon. So this paper is to explain basically how to read volatility, a three-dimensional volatility surface. And then there's going to be subsequent papers that will be coming out that will be giving a lot of detail about the bond market, surfacing the bond market and correlations of the bond market between domestic, meaning the United States treasuries, and other sovereign debt, especially in Europe. And then there's going to be another webinar on, I believe it's May 7th.
Yeah.
That's going to be talking about a cognitive architecture. I had a team of about 4 or 5 people on this paper, and it's from different disciplines. One is in neuroscience, database management, a couple quants and myself are developing this paper to experiment with an artificial intelligence algorithm and a cognitive framework for trading. So I'll go into a little bit more detail later. I'll be posting some stuff to help promote the webinar and the paper that we'll be working on. But the goal is within a year to have this paper or a series of papers submitted to the Artificial General Intelligence conference that will be taking place in 2016, and to show if a less narrow AI, but not necessarily artificial general intelligence algorithm can be useful in trading. So that's what I've been doing.
There you go. And you've been working on a couple of books, and you just got your PhD back in, was it January?
Yep. I received my PhD in January, and I published 2 books this year. One is on my market philosophy. That's called Market Armor. And you can get it on Amazon, or you can get it on iTunes, iBooks.
Yeah, let me put in your URL again.
Yeah, that first book that's Market Armor, and that was my market philosophy. And then the other book that I released was actually my dissertation, which is called Surface Volatility of Volatility. And then I have other books that I released back in 2012 and 13 and 14 about chaos theory and risk management, stuff like that. So I've published a lot. But this next series of work that I'm going to be publishing is more scholarly journal type oriented and seminar, conference type work for about a year, and then I'll figure out what I want to do.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of research that I've published. And now I'm going to try to get it to the seminars, to the conferences around the globe to try to promote the research. But those are the two big things that I have coming up in terms of webinars.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to them both, because I'm right now trying to study, like implied volatility, but that course I provided from iTunes walks you through that. But I mean, it's a more fundamental approach as opposed to, supply and demand. There's an equilibrium in the market. That's what I loved about the course, because it was something I actually got. I mean, it's not too heavily in the math side, but it's more fundamental. So
right.
If people want to check out that course, I just put your link in the chat for your Market Armor. So if anybody's interested, do check it out.
Thank you.
No worries, man. Anybody else got any comments, questions, or anything? I think we're just hour and 3/4. I'll be putting something together next week. We might just keep it generic and just keep it open-ended like we had in the last couple of weeks. I encourage anyone to come out. We just talk about trading or what I'm doing, what everyone's doing. It's kind of like trying to keep it more community-based. So keeping it frequently live and whatever, and try to help each other out. But tonight was just something I'm working on, and the future I'm going in with the Simulink and why, and hopefully you guys seen it, and when I post this on YouTube and other people will see it as well. So hopefully it'll be helpful for others as well. So anybody else got any questions? Like I said, I could talk all night. Anybody at all, or do you want to wrap it up? Maybe. Okay, I guess we can give her a wrap. As I said, thanks a lot for coming out. I really appreciate everyone coming and spending the time and investing the time. What I'll do is I'll put up my next meetup on, for anybody who might not know, because we have some people coming through the Facebook page. I've got that meetup group at quant-finance@meetup.com. No problem, Steven. Let me know if you need help, Steve, anywhere with the Simulink and the MetaTrader. Hopefully that'll give you some guidance for what you're doing at all. And anybody else, let me know. Okay, so I guess we can give her a wrap for tonight. Thanks again for coming out. And what we can do is hopefully I'll see you next week. I think I'll be Monday. And I'll still be doing my own stuff, even if Paul's doing his, but we'll rotate it between Mondays or Tuesdays. And I think Paul's going to have some other stuff outside of Beyond May. Who knows, but I'm pretty flexible. And we just leave it at that. So hopefully everyone can participate. All right, so what I'll do is I'll close it out. Anybody have any last words at all? Paul, is there anything you'd like to add or anything? Or no, maybe? Okay. Oh, no, maybe. Okay, so I guess we'll say goodnight to everybody again. I'll be online next week. And as always, I'm on the blog and YouTube. You can reach me by Twitter, Facebook, whatever tickles your fancy. And we'll just leave it at that. Okay, thanks again for coming out. I'm going to close it out and be on the lookout for the video and the source code and all the files that come with us from tonight. Okay, have a good night, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right? I'm going to stop the video now.